Go on there. Go on there. You gotta share it on the Facebook so people know what's going on. Awesome.
I thought you didn't want
like baby steps, right? Baby steps. anyway. It's dumb. I would share it on Facebook since it's live. What is this? If that's YouTube live, I would share the link on Facebook and just let everybody. But if that's too much, I get it.
we'll hook it up later.
That's Sagittarius energy. I'm sorry. Just
I thought you didn't want to, compete with
No, I don't. People ain't gonna go to it though because it's too much to do it. Facebook make people lazy because as soon as it just say, "Oh, somebody Sharon's on live," and all you gotta do is click on it. You know what I mean? But with free conference call, you gotta go log in, all that stuff.
I paid for free conference call and I haven't used it yet.
Free conference call? You pay for it? Like $10 for the store?
No, the $3 that you paid to the company to allow you to open it up so you can access it.
No, it's free. You heard the free part, right?
Yeah.
You download it, you don't have to pay $3. Mm-hmm. Is that a monthly or just
monthly?
I've never heard of that. Now I know I paid $10 just for the extra storage because I didn't have the videos and saving those videos, but I don't know what kind of thing you had with free conference call where you
when I was trying to get in there, like use the number or attach to it to get it free, it wouldn't let me get in there. They had a block on my number. So it makes
you talk what kind of cell phone you got?
I have a Metro PC.
That's why. Metro does that.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of Moors have been telling me about Metro and those different providers that make you do that. Yep. That's why.
Yeah, a lot of times
but everybody else can get in without paying anything because it has everything to do with that so-called call-in number. Mm-hmm. But if you go in through the internet, it should be different. If you download the app from the Google Play Store, you should be able to get it with no problem there, the internet. I think it's because you're calling in. So try that. Okay, so you have that. How about, are y'all good? You got your documents?
We just got started.
Okay. It's long. Okay, I don't have to get on here then. Cool, I don't have to do that.
All right, anybody have an extra pen?
What kind?
Yes. You just want to know if we have one, right? You just want to know if we have one. You don't have I'm gonna keep you sharp.
You need a paper?
Thank you very much.
You need to make sure you sign in red, so that's why I'm making sure I do that. Look at us. You got one person on here. That's what I like your computer. Awesome. Hi. Look, share us on Facebook. Subscribe to our channel. What is that? Oh, that's good stuff. So this class is called. I don't even read it.
Yeah, I was in temple number 11.
Okay.
So. No, she wanted this one or plain Jane because I don't have a fez.
Yeah.
Being from
the reality is you don't need to have a fez. That does not determine your disability.
You know we have those caps with the tassel.
Oh, you mean the graduation caps?
No. This is a regular baseball cap.
They have tassels on them?
Yeah, they playing it as a fez, some sort of fez.
You know they gotta modernize things and make it look cool for them to put it on their heads.
I could not wear it because I look.
It looks stupid, don't it? It looks dumb. Like, come on.
You say it to me. I didn't want to say it.
We change the fans. Can't nobody change the fans. Let's just say.
Right.
This class today is on rethinking conveying a Moorish states. Islam. Now let me see if I can get our documents up and running. Let me tell you, I'm working on. I gotta honestly say, they really hypothecate my stuff like crazy. I'm just gonna tell you, my electronic devices was acting all crazy this morning, and nothing was working for me. I just wanted to make sure I had all the Moors that are doing their nationalities to realize that, you want to get that done. Because we're doing like two things at once. Let me come into Facebook. Am I on the Facebook on here? Let's see. No internet. Where are we at? Which one is this? I don't know. Direct, laser. Is everybody connected to the net?
Good. Who's this?
Does everybody have the instructions for the process up? Gonna make me log in?
You have to connect to the internet. Yeah.
Gonna make me go on the tablet.
Yes, well,
Right on the tablet. You logging on? Somebody logging in. Huh? What? You said pay attention. It's not yours. So now everybody needs to bring up the documents, at least the process documents. Do I have them out? We got 10 member requests in Facebook. Yes. You are? Oh, good. Don't want me to do that now. Let me do it. I have administrators that's supposed to be doing this.
Hooking up your friends.
I got like 10. What? What?
Hooking up your friends on.
No, accepting a member request for the group.
Oh, no, I'm on the call already.
Oh, well, what you was talking about? Oh, member request,
Yeah.
member. Oh. She put me on Front Street. Didn't she just do that? I'm in your in bin, Sharon. I gotta find you. I thought you was talking about the group.
HPCP. HPCP.
H things come up.
It's this HTFL. Double click it. All right, so that one's done. I'll find your member request in a second.
So she wants you to go to Chrome.
All right, so the first document we're going to go over is property possession process. Property possession process. So the documents involved in this revenue of your Moorish estates, which is the land, the wealth, the resources, is property possession.
You gotta go on the Facebook group to get them.
Process. That is document 1. Document 2 is going to be the affidavit of allodial. Land, property, repossession, template. Third document, and there are subsequent supporting documents that go in between all of these. These are the 3 main. Is the Aboriginal, Indigenous, writ of possession, template. All right. So these are the main 3 documents. The first one is the property possession process. That's instructions. That's the instructions that's going to teach you how to complete these processes, right? So the supporting documents, I'm gonna list those all the way over here because there's a lot of them. And then there's also one that I'm going to put on this side, but is included in this. It's included in the affidavit, the Aboriginal Indigenous Writ of Possession template, and that is the document number report. Now, the document number report has all, let's put an A on there. The document number report has all of the all of the supporting lawful commands and directives from the Moorish American Nationals and the Moorish National Republic Federal Government attached with MAC record numbers. So they'll have these numbers, 1, 2, 9 attached to it. All right? Y'all okay over there? What you looking for? You good?
Yeah, trying to.
All right. Now the supporting documents. Now, if you go into the document number report, what's the dang with paperwork? What did I say? Where did it go? I don't know what it is. All right. Now, I don't want to list all of the document number records on the board. I don't really want to list it. I'm sending. That's why it's so important for people to be attached to the Facebook group in the file section, because we're going to refer to documents there. And once we're able to update, because right now we're in the process of updating the website, all of the stuff that's in the file section of the group are going to be in the on the website for your ease of getting the information. But it's going, the way I plan to have it executed is that it's going to be embedded in the instructions. So in each process, in each step, you'll know exactly what to pull, because it'll have that either a link right there telling you to pull this and attach this and pull that and attach that. So it's kind of going to be the way it's going to be in instructional forms, but the supporting documents and files and reports are going to be there for your ease of downloading. Okay. All right. Now it's cool. Now the reasons why I asked everybody to download everything is so they could like be looking at the stuff while they're doing it. To download it and print it, so or at least have an electronic device so they can pull it up. So does everybody have the ability to pull up the document recording piece? I do have copies of it, I feel, and I could pass it around so you can see this, at least this particular document. I should have bought my So for people who don't have the ability to see, and he seems like he's busy. Yeah, you busy over there. You trying to do things at one time.
Yep.
So like this is kind of what it looks like. It's a record number where it has all of the supporting documents. And if you go into the file section of the Facebook group.
No, I'm not even on your Facebook.
No. So you got to go here and then you search it. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Yours is different. Everybody's Facebook is different. You go to groups. Where's it at? Everybody's comes up different. Where the heck are groups? No, you don't have to be. You gotta search. Where's search? How do you search in here?
No.
You just went out of Facebook. Oh, here it is. Put Moorish American Consulate there. All right. So there is a document record report, and the name of it is right here, document number report. That document number report is going to have a list of all of the supporting records that you need to go download. Now, obviously, the affidavit of allodial secured land property possession written statement is unique to yours. So you're going to have a different number than mine, which is 121. Once you get a record number assigned, you're going to use that one. As well as for the affidavit of universal commercial code financing statement, that's going to be unique to the so-called corporation or, well, corporate ward that's claiming ownership. And you're going to find the information out who's claiming ownership from where. Where do you find out who is claiming the ownership of the corporate address that the so-called property is standing on? So how do you find out who's claiming ownership, y'all?
look up,
Deed of records.
yeah.
But where is the deed of
Assessment.
records? Assessment.
The
In the tribunal.
what do you call it, assessor?
Tribunal. I want to give them no
The,
titles.
title.
County recorders. You're going to go to the public records of the particular county because the county is the accounting. They are where all of this information is housed, and they just have it segregated into different. This is why it's so big is because they're managing our estate unlawfully and through the corporations and through the corporate statuses. So that's where you're going to find out who is claiming ownership of the property that you might be domiciling in, that you might be interested in. So you're going to, because that's the part of staking your allodial claim to the land that nobody can refute who's outside of the status and sovereignty. You understand me? Yeah. So, and you can do this on the internet. And there's a lot of corporations, like there's a corporation or a website called, oh my goodness, she just gave me this today. And it didn't have Pennsylvania Corporation in there, and it didn't have Seattle, Washington Corporation in there, but it had it had Virginia, it had North Carolina. I'm not sure about New Jersey. It had different corporate, it didn't have all of them is what I'm ultimately saying. And you could have put your information in there and it would have said who's claiming ownership and who's previously claimed ownership to this particular property. It was IQ. Oh goodness, I'm going to look it up on my computer and I'm gonna post it this evening. But the county to which you domicile near or where the so-called property is recorded is where you're going to look for the information. So for instance, the county of Delaware County at so-called media corporation is where I would go to find this information for a domicile that's in that particular geographical corporate location. So you would go to that website. It would be property records or something like that. You would just say, I want to go to the county. It's easy. Tax assessors one, but they're housed differently. So you got to figure it out. But for where I am, you would go to the so-called county of blah, 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 blah. And you would be like property records. So you would do a search on property records or something like that. And then it'll come up. So then you would research it by the number and the so-called address without the street, the road or the avenue. So if it's for instance, my domicile, which is no longer XREL 36 North Harwood, in their system, you would put 36 in the number and then Harwood or North Harwood. And that will give you a list of so-called people claiming ownership of the property and they're supposed to have all the list, but when you look at the system, it don't have a complete list. It'll probably have like maybe one or maybe two individuals claiming it. So it'll tell you who the so-called current owner is. Once you click on that information, it's going to bring you, it's going to give you the parcel ID number. It's going to give you the tax number. It's going to give you the so-called person owning it. For a lot of these properties, they are corporations claiming to own them, and they'll have their mailing location. So they've fixed. I mean, they didn't fix. They've already given you the information that is required and it's public knowledge as to who is so-called claiming ownership for that particular property. And keep in mind the corporate address, which is why you lien the corporate address and you lien the individual claiming it, because they're claiming it as a nom de guerre and under fraud. Okay, so you're going to claim the location, which is the so-called address, residential address. You're claiming you're leaning that, and you're leaning the individual corporation that's claiming ownership for it. So if it's LLC Murdoch, you're going to lien LLC Murdoch. These are processes you're going to do in conjunction with this. That's going to be part of the first step because that's part of the record. The first two documents, the first document is the second, the affidavit of Universal Commercial Code financing statement for the so-called corporation claiming ownership of the particular land. Now, when you do the UCC1 lien, you're going to go to their company website and find out who the leadership team is, the president and all. If they got 10 leadership teams, executive, CEO, CFO, you're going to list all of them in the lien. Okay. So if the president is Michael Buff, you're going to say Michael Buff doing business as president of such and such corporation company. and they're gonna list them all out. Now you can validate if this is a so-called corporation from the so-called Secretary of State. The so-called Secretary of State is supposed to have a record of all so-called corporations doing business in their so-called corporate district. All right, it's not always going to be there, just so you know. And there's also the DNB, which is the Dunes and Bradstreet. Then that's called www.dnb. I should probably be writing some of this there if I can find it. Where the hell? So you're gonna go to, I don't know, can I erase this stuff right here?
Yes. Yes.
Everybody got this? Everybody? So, county of so-called whatever it is. And everybody knows what county they domicile near. So that's where you're going to get the property information as to who is claiming ownership. 90% of the time, it's going to be a corporation. And they're using them to hide themselves, so you don't know who to sue and who to file your claim with. And that's why, so you start with the county of, you go and get the property information, which is usually under tax, assessment, property, records. And if you don't find anything on the internet because they have a way of hiding and moving websites through their little systems, go down to the county and find and go in because they have computers in the recorder of deeds office and request that information. So, but you can go online and it's supposed to be under Freedom of Information Act available for you to pull because they're just going to pull and do the same thing which you could do home. They're going to pull and give you that same information and they might try to charge you. So it's the tax assessors or for the property information. Now, who claims ownership? It's usually a corporation, and this is where you got to go through www.dnb.com or the Secretary of State, who is supposed to have a record of all active corporations doing business in their corporate territory. And knowing that most people have done that because they're scared not to do it. And they're scared to get in trouble. So most people will sit here and go right to the website, which is the IRS website, creating these fraudulent contracts to do business. So they're going to get an EIN tax identification number. In order to get an EIN tax identification number, you got to go to the Secretary of State and you got to request a corporate name or something like that. And you got to go into their database and you got to verify if it's already been taken. Okay? Mm-hmm. I know I'm doing this fast. We ain't got that much time. You know, mommy was late. So I got to get it fast. So that's how you first find, well, actually, before you do all that, you got to locate the property you wish to convey into your estate. So that's the first step. You got to find the property you want. It could be a whole geographical area. It could be a whole township. And guess what? You can sit here and do a Google search and say, well, I want to own the whole township of Delaware County. Delaware County town, I don't even think it's a township. No, it's not. Let's say Upper Darby Township. I want to own all of Upper Darby Township. And you can sit here and put in Google all of Upper Darby. Give me the latitude and longitude coordinates of all of Delaware County, Upper Darby Township. It's going to give you the geographical location for that whole township. And then you retitle it with your own title. And that title comes with, and I don't like using name because people get misassociated with name and title. You're titling your own property and you're calling it whatever you want, but you're making sure there's no misconception of calling it what it used to be.
Right.
So you want to call it something else. My domicile is 1111 Yeshua Moabite Moorish Estate. That is what it is. X-Rail 36 North Harbor. And that's kind of how you're going to identify it. Because that X-Rail is a corporate fiction, just like your nom de guerre was a corporate fiction, which we were classifying it as before we became the nobles and the Moorish American nationals by declaring and proclaiming our nation. Right? Did I say a lot? I know. The first step, you'll think takes like 4 months. It takes literally an hour. That whole process takes an hour because guess what? The first domicile you should be claiming should be the one that you're domiciling in, you're dwelling in. It should be the first one. But if it's not, it's okay. If you don't want to do that one, do one you want. I would do one that's in foreclosure, abandoned. That's what foreclosure means. Foreclosure means abandoned. Even though they literally kicked you out of it, right, it's still classified as abandoned. If I wasn't to reclaim or revenue or possess my domicile, it would be listed as abandoned. And they play these games. Everything they have a code word. Foreclosure means abandoned, even though they kicked you out. Wanting, giving you that 3-year cushion, which is what they have to do before they can claim it up. Before they can claim it under doctrine of discovery. Well, I should be charging this while I sit here dying. Islam? Can't find nothing. Never can find nothing. You know what? Whatever. Anyway. No matter how organized you are, you still ain't organized. At least the man ain't. Anyway, so that's the first process. What's the first step, y'all? Tell me what the first step is. I did not say that much, so don't go. I didn't say that much, y'all. Stop acting like I said that much. I did.
The property possession process.
And what's the first step in the repossession process? What's the first step?
Affidavit of colonial land property repossession.
Oh, so you just read that. Well, what's involved in that first process? I know what we do. I do the same thing. Just know that. The first step is to find and locate the property. Write that down. First step. What's the second step?
You go to find the assessment who owns the property.
Right, and how are you going to find out who's claiming ownership of the property? How you find that out? Go to the county recorder's office, which is the county. You're going to go to the county recorder's office, which is the county, and that's going to give you who's claiming ownership as well as the parcel information. And you can also request a copy of the deed. And a copy of the deed is going to have a little bit more information as to the geographical, the beginning of the so-called property all the way to the end of it. So it's probably a good idea to request or command a copy of the deed. You don't need it. You can, because you can get the same information from the internet through latitude, longitude, and that's sufficient. But if you want to be all diligent with it, get that too, and then just add that to the one section of the dominions of that particular property.
So you saying find and locate and then go to the county record?
Yeah, because you don't know what you're looking for until you find what you want.
Right, go to the county.
It would be a lot easier for me because I'm a real estate agent.
Oh, we got a real estate agent. She should be talking.
Yeah.
She just said she's gonna get up and talk, and I'm gonna sit down because she knows the tricks of the trade. Just like how I told people months ago in the Facebook Live, I went walking around the neighborhood, how every so-called real estate agent gets a license from the so-called state and the corporation to do business for them. So when people go looking for property, the first thing they do is go to a real estate agent, which is the worst thing you could ever do. Because that real estate agent is a paid agent, just like the attorneys, just like the administrators. They're paid to make fiat for the corporation, right? While hypothecating us. Don't get mad about it. We all doing crazy stuff under the service corporation. But the reality is, So when you go down in there, they're like, oh, we got property, which is all in the so-called bank of the county. And then obviously they send you some people already come with their so-called bank loans approved. Some people don't. You'll have underwriters who say, okay, let's go find a bank that's going to approve you. All this crazy stuff. Get you to sign your Johnny Hancock because all they doing is taking from your estate, even though they ain't giving you nothing in return. They're already getting financed, but yet they denying you because they don't want to give you the estate. They want to keep pushing it. They might have got 100 and some credit from you because of all the documents you signed, but they ain't give you nothing. And even if they do say, "Oh, your credit is awesome," I'm gonna give you credit for like 100,000. They ain't give you nothing. You gave them it. I'm just trying to tell you the bull crap, right? So anyway. So pretty much when you go and you say you like a property, you're like, oh, that property is beautiful. And they put that illegal little sign in the property, talk about realtor, Century 21, or I don't even know any other names, but they put their little stick in there. All you gotta do is take the stick out. I can't live here. Go away. Sister Sharon. Now you bring me some knowledge in here, huh?
Oh no! Oh, you on point.
I know.
You on point. But you
I'm researching.
You know, think about it.
Mad as hell, but go ahead.
We've got to make a living until we can do better. However, let me tell you.
If our limit is violating us, how's that doing something good?
Well, most of the time it is because, as it is there, we all sign contracts to go out there in the corporation and make a living, unless
Can a minor sign a contract?
Can
a minor sign a contract?
No.
What's a minor?
According to someone who needs to make decisions.
Who's a minor?
According to,
I can tell you you're a minor right now until you sign your documents.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because so did any contract you signed before that mean anything? Or were they binding?
It's invalid.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, now continue your
So you ain't stuck to it.
Right.
Keep going.
All right. Reclaiming.
Well, your
property.
Venuing it back to your Moorish estates. I don't like to say because neutralizes. When you put in front of stuff,
that means taking it back.
Yeah,
correct?
that means neutralizing it.
Okay.
You're claiming it, venuing it, conveying it back to where it belongs.
Mm-hmm.
We don't re-venue anything, even though they like to use that because is neutralization. Renew.
Mm-hmm.
It's not new. It's old. It's old. It's the complete opposite. Reuse.
Mm-hmm.
Is like a negative.
Again.
It's just like add, unless you use it in the right pretense. We don't know etymology, so we kind of get tricked in words because we don't really know the meaning of words, which is why Taj says things over and over and over and over again, so we can stop using girl. I'm sorry, not girl, goat, or we can stop using husband or wife. We're spelling ourselves.
Right.
Okay, let me do this. Property. I see a property I want. Someone, I'll be honest, living in there.
They're squatting in there. Don't tell them they're living.
I do my paperwork to evict them, giving them 30 days.
Well, you gotta do a lot more before you can do that.
Okay, right. You know, go through.
You gotta go through the claiming process of it first.
All right, we go through all the steps. They get their paperwork. They have to leave in 30 days.
Why everybody jump to the end before they begin the beginning? But go ahead. I know where she's going with it though. Yeah. She jumping to the end. Go ahead.
Okay.
She want to know how we enforce it. Is that
no. No, but that too. That since you brought that up.
No,
that
you do your question.
Okay. These Albions move out. I move in. Given their nature, more of a killing nature, because there's nothing for them to kill. They will come and they will blow that house up. Because it's like, if they can't have it, nobody else is going to have it.
Why do you make those assumptions that that's how they're going to behave?
Because of track records.
Because
of the track records.
Well, realize, first of all, they ain't got nowhere to go. Where are they going? Yeah. They can't get off the land because they ain't got no finance to do it because all their so-called finance is in an unusable piece of paper. There's not gold and silver. They don't have any so-called ties outside of this place, and they don't even got ties here because they violated them all. Where are they going?
them
Right.
to decide. However,
They'll probably go somewhere else on the land until they get moved off of that place. But what would be the purpose of them doing that? Not saying they won't do it,
right.
but I'm not going to automatically say that they are either.
I go by the track record.
What track record?
Their track records, their history.
Keep in mind that's their ancestors. We're dealing with a whole new breed also. And has they done anything really that bad over knowing that everything they've done to us, we asked them to do to us?
Well,
realize that.
Yeah, well, but they don't have to do anything there because everything is in their possession. That
Do you realize all you have to do is write something down and they have to answer it as long as you know that that's what they got to do.
Okay, going back to enforcement. All right, let me tell you an experience that we had with our friends.
And we're talking black right now. We're talking about black experience. You can't even use past experiences because you was a ward at that particular time, so it's not even the same situation.
The judge.
And then you call the judge, just appointed him title
administrator. Okay, administrator. Signed the paper, Asiatic female, signed the papers. The friends of ours was going to get evicted. Signed the paper saying she don't have any jurisdiction at all over this matter.
This was an administrator saying this.
Yes.
Okay.
Had the papers, the owners of the property.
They were denationalized at the time?
Yes.
Okay, so why we even use them as an example?
Because
you're trying to use something that doesn't qualify, is my point. Because they can make up any rules they want to Asiatics are not in their proper person because you don't have any supreme laws of the land or your ancestors to call in to assist you at all. You got to go out the will and the privilege you have within that jurisdiction.
Well, I guess our paperwork wasn't in order because it happened to us too.
Mm-hmm. It's not even about paperwork in order. They changed their processes and procedures and their policies and their codes and their ordinances to fit. If they want your house, they just gonna change or ignore some stuff that you ain't bringing to their attention anyway, and go kick you out because they don't care. But you, who you are,
yeah. Well, they showed that.
all they care about is the so-called contracts that they have with these big businesses that they getting paid a whole lot of fiat for. Just like when they do foreclose, the so-called bank already had insurance on it.
Oh,
they already got paid.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why when you sit there and look from the custodial, I guess, the offering of the hands is $1. So the county making the finance off of the so-called sheriff's sale, on the property. My property went from so-called 85, that the so-called mortgage was dissolved on. Wells Fargo had the insurance, so they didn't really care. They had the insurance. The sheriff's sale listed it as $1, and and ultimately so-called Global acquired it for 65 or 69 notes. So the county made $69,000 on that so-called sheriff's sale. And because they got contracts with the people who just unlawfully and illegally do that whole racketeering industry. So now they gotta get you out of there because they want their 69,000 and they probably ain't getting it until that so-called domicile is unoccupied. Why do you think they do it? Exactly. They do it because there's nothing stopping them. You can't stop them. I can't stop them. Not as Black, Negro, and colored. You can stop them as a Moorish American national. The first start is the liens. Everybody's saying like, what does the lien mean? The lien doesn't do anything. Blah, blah, blah. But yet everybody talking about the liens. Is that by accident? No. That's one avenue.
Go into more exactly what the lien is.
Okay.
I dealt with.
She want to go off on a rabbit hole when we're supposed to be talking about possession.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, all of this is coming up though.
It's all relative. And I got videos for days talking about it all. A lien. What is a lien? Let's talk about what a lien is. We got two people on here. Hi, y'all two people. What is a lien? He gonna bring. Oh, you got that big Black's Law, Islam.
Black's Law, 4th edition.
Islam. He is going to look up Black's Law, 4th edition. What the definition of a lien is. It's kind of the same thing as a bond, just so you know. But a bond is a debt. A lien isn't necessarily a debt, but yes, it is because there's monetizable allodial cost attached to it. You had to lien already?
Yes.
All right, read. Well, you got to come up here because ain't nobody gonna hear you all the way over there. And we gotta keep track of time as well, because we got 2 people that need to nationalize before this venue is over.
Okay.
Speak
A
loud.
lien, a charge or security or encumbrance upon property. Theater Realty Company versus Arenberg Fried Company, CCA MO 85 F2D 383, 388, McCarthy versus Robinson 222, ALA.
Just do the definitions. Don't get it all.
Okay.
Because people are probably
A
lost
claim
already.
or charge on property for payment of some debt, obligation, or duty.
Duty, I like that.
Okay, skip. Duty or claim annexed to or attaching upon property by the common law, equity, contract, or estate, without satisfying which such property cannot be lawfully demanded by another. Land is versus another corporation.
Now read the first one you read again and inflect.
A charge or security or encumbrance upon property. This is a claim or charge or property for payment of some debt, obligation, or duty.
Debt, obligation, or duty. Debt, a claim on a debt, an obligation, and a duty. Duty is a fee, a debt, an obligation. What could be the obligation?
Tax lien.
Not necessarily. You talking corporate. You went back into realtor land. We're going into allodial land. Why do we lien these corporations? What are they violating? What do they have an obligation to that they're not enforcing, or we're not? We're now enforcing the treaty. Their oaths. What else? We gotta go now. Here's where the knowledge of history and the laws come into play. Because there's something called a Declaration of Independence of 1776, where they pledged everything to us. They pledged everything to us in order to get a standing and a status in commerce to do trade. And that agreement was life, liberty, fortune, honor, all of those things they pledged through the Declaration of Independence before we would even give them anything. So they had to pledge to us as the Moorish nationals, as the supreme laws of the lands, as the sovereigns, and the pledge first. So that was the first part of the supreme laws of the land.
Don't they also pledge when they get up to play them games?
They do that, but guess who they pledging to that? They're not pledging to us. They pledging to the dead status they in. When at graduations and all this stuff, everybody's standing and saying the anthem. They pledging to their God. Mm-hmm. They don't know that, and the God is government, ordinances, departments. So how you gonna sit here on one chance and be like, you're just violating me, I don't like you. I pledge allegiance to. How you doing both of those? Which one is you? You know what I'm saying? So the supreme laws of the land started with that declaration. And our declaration back to our Moorish state starts with the pledge too. The Declaration of Independence. It's the same thing. You're just righting a wrong. You know, everybody celebrating Mother's Day today. Matriarch Day. That's the day. Mother's been informants this whole time, not even realizing it. But we praising them. That's why they only got one day. They only need one day. They don't even need a day. And that's why it rained on you today. I'm just saying, y'all. And then the second document is the Articles of Confederation. That Articles of Confederation of 1777 was the document on how they was to structure their organization, their government. Their government. How they were going to interact between the so-called 17 Union colonies, because they're British companies, because they don't have a status and sovereignty, which is why they want to call you a sovereign citizen movement, because they want to dirty up your nobility so you don't act in it, so they can stand beside you when they're supposed to be way back. Third one is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. All right, We got a treaty of peace and friendship. This document is how we interact with each other. Moors, modern Europeans, Albions. And then you have your commercial contract on the stipulations of the business you're going to do here at Morocco. So the Constitution for the United States of America, which I say is the United Union British Great Britain colonies. This is what you're going to do when you want to do trade and business. So in business, this is what you got to deal with. If you have a dispute or a claim with the Moor, you got to come through our Article 3 courts, and it's based on the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. And the consuls determine those disputes. All right, so why do you lean again? Because they don't what? Violating all that? And because we have a contract, we can void that contract under breach of trust, breach of duty, breach of oath, obligation. That's exactly what the definition of lien was telling you.
Yeah, it stops them from doing any type of
Everything.
Okay.
Because keep in mind, they're also a corporation themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't have something to step out of when they mess up and I go, I'm an Irish national. Okay, well, this ain't Ireland.
All right.
That's why you command your name and nationality. Do we know the oath? I know he knows it. Look, you next time you gonna say it. We're gonna put you here until it gets said. Watch. Let me tell you, I had a lot of time to rehearse it. Just letting you know. I can't have no choice to know it. I woke up, went to sleep saying that mantra. Islam. I can say it without even thinking now. But I know exactly what I'm saying when I'm saying.
Right. All right. So
Islam.
one thing. Okay, I just want to be sure here. Now, number one is find and locate. 2 is go to the county clerk's office. Now,
Or the website.
right. But now, what if they say you owe taxes, such and such, and
He's only just nationalizing, so he's
right,
talking in
Yeah.
a room full of people who.
right.
So they're trying to say that there's a lien on the property, is what you're saying.
Right. So I'm saying those who are imposing these taxes on me,
On who?
they trying to.
Wait a minute, you just said.
You just stepped out of
This is
one.
something new.
You stepped out of one.
So you're talking about the property you currently have, you're going to,
No.
what did you, okay.
No. Actually, my father owned property, and however, they said that taxes is owed on it. Old.
Well, that's
And I don't
because when he mortgaged the company, he mortgaged it under a nom de guerre. He didn't pay those tributes to Rome.
Right.
So
but
they're
now-
saying that you can't, he probably can't sell it because he got a corporate lien on the property that needs to
Right.
be satisfied before they will allow it to go into another person's hands.
Right.
So what are you asking?
So now I'm saying, me being who I am,
The Moorish American
the
National.
Moorish American National,
Improper person.
improper person.
Let me stop.
No,
Go
say
ahead.
I don't know the mantra.
Go ahead.
But let's say I want that property.
Just know
now.
corporate liens are corporate liens, allodial liens are allodial liens, two totally
Okay.
different things.
Which has
Okay,
You're
so now I
sovereign.
have
Which
this.
has
I'm
You're
sovereign, so
sovereign.
I lien whoever's imposing those taxes.
Hell yeah.
Yes.
But
Okay.
you don't even gotta worry about it because you're not getting it through the corporate jurisdiction. If you were getting it under your nom de guerre, they would make you pay that lien because
Right.
technically
Right.
you're under their jurisdiction.
Right.
That's
Right.
jurisdictional. Those taxes are jurisdictional.
Right. Okay.
You're not in
But
personam
that doesn't
jurisdiction
apply to
connected
you.
to them because you're declaring and proclaiming your nationality.
Right.
Completely different thing.
So
You
now,
gotta listen because you still new. You gotta
Right.
listen.
yeah.
You hear?
You gotta learn.
Yeah.
You so new yet you can't even ask a question. I'm being real.
No, it's
That's-
Because you're going to be,
Well,
it's going
when
to
you
be
say
answered
don't know
already
how,
through
you
sitting here and listening.
Listen.
Yeah.
Because what you're asking will be answered through the knowledge that you're going to gain. And I can't even get you to understand what I'm saying because you a babe.
Yeah, I know. I still got my diapers on.
Right. And you ain't even got your ID yet.
And that's all right. That's all right.
And it's all right. It's really okay. I mean, it's
Well,
really all right.
I
But
know
the
it's gonna
reality
have to
is,
be all right, 'cause
the reality is you're going to claim it allodially.
see,
And they can only attach any of those feudal fees if you were claiming it under the straw.
Right.
It's completely different.
Okay.
So don't
So I
even
got
worry about
that.
that. So don't even worry
You
about
got it,
Right.
but you don't got it because you're still asking a question. So you know you don't.
No, I'm saying-
it. I mean, what else is there to it?
They trying to help you. They
I
trying.
know they
You
are.
walking in. You walking
I know
into
they
the
are.
damn trap, and you're still walking.
Right.
Exactly. We're gonna pull you back. Like, dude,
Right.
sit down, sit down, sit down.
All right, yeah, hold me down.
Ta-da.
Oh, yeah. Because
Ta-da.
that's the first thing we say. We like, look, I know what you're saying, but if I do this, if I did this 10 years ago, well, 10 years you were a ward,
Right.
and you didn't have what you have today. So all of the experiences, Moors, you had under non-Vizir do not apply, do not, so let it fly. As Robin, Marie Bradley Bay would say, who's supposed to be here, but you know, she played me today. I said I was gonna mention you, you played me today, yes. And she got a new phone, Moors, but she has the same number. So y'all might have to start texting Robin and saying, Robin, here's my Moorish appellation, log it in your phone. And that's how she's gonna get her contacts back. Because you know, when people save the contacts in the phone and then the phone go wacky doodle, your contacts are lost.
Yeah.
Save them in your Google Gmail Drive. It asks you, it gives you 3 options. It says save to the phone,
Yeah.
and whatever else you got linked to it, it'll say save as one of these. Save it as one of these. Don't save it to the phone. All right, because it's only going on the main memory of the phone, and if the phone clicks out and glitches on you, you lost your contact.
Well, I'm just trying to
Love
stay
you,
here.
Robin.
I'm just trying to stay here because, you know, I don't want
You
to.
trying to do what now?
No, I'm staying here. You know, I'm already like, you know, this don't belong to y'all. Okay, this don't belong to y'all.
But you got to
Europeans,
follow
because
the
y'all-
administrative procedures
I
and
know,
processes because
exactly.
you have to give them notification. Every affidavit and writ is a spell. And because you're in your proper person, they mad you found out how to do that. They mad you found out that all you had to do was say, produce the bond so I can satisfy the debt. You know how easy that was? We don't think of when we go into those tribunals where they sit here and say, oh, I am judge, blah, 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 blah. And you, Miss Gale, blah, 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 blah. And you're supposed to sit here and say, I am Sharon Tracey Gale, Moorish American National, improprio personam sui juris, improprio solo, improprio heredis at all times and at all points in time. I'm a descendant of the great pharaohs of Kemet and the Moabites and the Canaanites. I am the law, I am the government, and I command you to state your name and nationality for the record without any further comments. So be quiet. I am the law. You do not have no jurisdiction over me, and I command you set me free, return my property, and cease and desist all actions against me, as this is my notice of intent to lien you if you do not do as commanded and set me free. Notice the agent is notice the principal, notice the principal is notice the agent. And while we're at it, produce the bond so I can satisfy the debt. Because in order for you to have a claim, you got to produce the bond. It has to be in writing. It has to be an actual original with wet ink signatures, and it has to state who I am, and I'm not that non-Vizir. You see how easy that was?
Yeah.
Our people give us little nuggets every now and then. And they go sit here, shut up, be quiet, get out of my room. Well, you wanted me to make this special appearance to clear up this matter. Are you okay? And we gotta have fun with this.
That's right. I
We
did.
gotta have the energy all copacetic. But don't get it twisted. When you first get in there, because when they pulled me into the tribunal on the 12th of April, shackled, me and my consort, in this whole elaborate scheme, I already knew it was bullcrap. I already felt it. I had no fear. I had all these little policy enforcers around me. It's like 20, 30 deep. Blocking me from all the people. I'm sitting there like, did you believe this shit? I couldn't believe it. I was like, Miss Gale, no, I'm not British. You're British. I'm not British. I'm Sharon Tracey Gale Bay, Moorish American National. And she called me Miss Gale the whole time, but she wasn't talking to me. She's talking to that non-Vizir. But then at that time, can you produce the bond for the record so I can satisfy the bond? Well, what are you talking about? Well, you know what I'm talking about. In order for you to say that there's a claim against me, there has to be a bond. And if there's a bond, let me produce it for the record so I can satisfy it. Just shake up their world. And on the 8th of May, I would tell you, I went to this tribunal on a special appearance to clear up the mistaken identity. Because they know you're not that non-Vizir on that paper, but because our ancestors and our mothers, happy Mother's Day, been sitting here feeding us to the beast. They've been feeding us to the beast. No happy Mother's Day. Happy Matriarch Day. Happy Holy Matriarch Day. For those mothers who stopped being scared, acting like they bumped their head, with acting like a coward, fear, heartless, who stood up and said, I am Moorish American National. And they declared and proclaimed their nationality, and they did it for their babies too. Yes, mothers, happy Holy Matriarch Day. All you other people, go get on that grid or get in the Felicia damn pile. And that's what I have to say. For all you, I love you, but you gotta get it right. Because our babies don't need to be food for no vampires. Just saying. I'm not making no apologies for it. I'm just gonna state what it is. So where we at in the process movement? Y'all gotta get your documents done because this place don't play. They close at 5. So get your documents done. You got all the signatures you could ever want here. Right, Anand? So the first process, as y'all are talking, we're gonna keep going until the lights go out. Then you gotta finish. Did you sign your documents? Or y'all got 1 or 2 copies? You got 2 originals of each? Because just know if y'all got 2, it's gonna be a lot of paper. So you got 2 name declarations and 2 judicial proclamations.
That's what they separated.
It's long. Where we at? You know everybody on Facebook like, where is Sharon? She said she was doing a Facebook Live and she's not here. I'm mad. I'm here. You're just gonna get it later. It's loud. Look, 99 plus. Wow. Look at some of these. Look at all these people that was on the thing. That's funny. How many people? Wow. All right, where was I at? I was at the group. Can I tell you, everybody saw that white Jeep with the Moorish flag hanging out? That's been going viral. I mean, been going crazy viral. Huh? You say he's so crazy? He's not crazy. He's so Moorish. Let's say he's so Moorish.
He reminds me of my dad because that's how my dad, he was born a day. And his mom got married to a Dunmore. So it was like, okay, he took me out of my nationality into being, corporate war status now. So now I got to do this. But my dad used to come up, when we was coming up, that's how he used to talk to the cops. And he never got a ticket.
He was frequent. He was vibrating on that energy. Some of us be on it already. Others, we just gotta bump our head and figure it out. But it's the temple's reasons why we gotta bump our head and figure it out. But wait a minute, somebody sent me an email, y'all. And in that email they said, I don't have it with me. And in that email they said, Sharon, I thank you. I saw that video and he said something about you. He had mentioned you. I was like, I didn't watch the video because I don't want my energy to mess with and fluctuate. And I'm like, what you talking about? Because he had done a video after the fact as well.
He did another one.
You saw it?
About Valor. He was talking about Valor.
I love Valor. Valor, Black Law.
Valor. Yeah, we used to be up on Valor.
You are.
You know Valor.
Yes.
Now, I was talking last night about how sisters present stuff. We was just talking about that before you came. They brought it up. I ain't bring it up.
Y'all used to go to like classes?
All of them.
Are you serious?
I used to work and do documents.
Well, we gotta talk offline. I ain't gonna do this on. We're gonna talk.
Got a little history.
We're gonna talk when we go to the hotel. I gotta go get my mom. I told my son I'll get him some snow crabs. People want some snow crabs forever. So I'm going to my son to give him some snow crabs. Okay.
Not wrong.
I love snow crabs. I don't want them.
But anyway, Sister Sharon, being as though I am who I am, I already knew that I didn't have to deal with those taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I just wanted to know who do I lean, you know what I mean, as far as taxes. That was my, you know what I mean?
He's such a baby.
He's still on.
I don't even know what to say. Like, dude, you got to get off the yellow brick road and get on the Aboriginal road, as Kimberly, as Robin would say.
Yeah.
Get off the yellow brick road.
I'm
Get off the
saying,
yellow
it's
brick
a-
road.
it's a- it's a-
Get off the yellow brick
Trust me,
road.
I used to think baptism was a bad thing. But if it means cleaning my head, I need it. I want it. You know what I mean?
If it means.
If it.
So just realize the first part of the
Sense of
administrative
clean.
process, which is complete the affidavit of allodial secured land property repossession written statement and send it to the following persons, i.e. corporations. That is in the document that everybody was supposed to bring, but ain't nobody bring, called property possession process. It is the first document in the possession process. All right. And it sounds pretty intense, but the biggest part is completing it the one time and then making the 10 copies. 10 originals. I did 10 originals or copies of that same said document. And the individuals you're going to send it to is the so-called persons, corporate persons, or corporation claiming to own the land, the property. And again, you're going to go through the tax assessors or property records of that particular county to find that out. So that person's going to get a copy of it. The so-called sheriff of that corporation is going to get a copy of it. The county recorder is going to get a copy of it. You're going to record it with the county recorder of deeds. You're going to go in there and get it recorded. Okay? The governor general is getting it. The U.S. and state attorney general is getting it. The U.S. Department of State is getting it. The Secretary of State is getting it. The mayor and the police enforcers that domicile near your new Moorish estate. So you're sending it to a multitude of individuals. So the precursor is to do the mailing labels because you're going to send them certified return receipt. Islam? So you're going to send that to all of them, and then you're going to put up the no trespassing affidavit statement, as well as the affidavit of removal of implied right to access individuals, our mantra. So it's the mantra. So y'all going to write out the mantra on a legal paper, get it signed, get it sealed, signature, right thumbprint, and put that on the door of your domicile.
Question, with the documents, even the mantra, we get them black and white.
Give who?
The ones you just mentioned, the people we just mentioned.
I would do all of this in color. I would do all the copies in color. So when you do the affidavit of allodial secured land property repossession written statement, you're going to do it all in color because that's your signs and sigils are in red, so they need to see that. So I always would do them in the color. But if you want to do them in black and white, do them in black and white. But when I had it recorded with a recorder of deeds, I went there, recorded the document, and it was recorded. And you could go to the recorder of deeds website and see it. And I also did the supporting documentations with it, which was the declaration of trust. And the supporting documents that go with it are the religious corporation affidavit of organization with proof of service, which is a part of the document. So that's document number 119. The private trust declaration showing the properties in your trust. So if your declaration doesn't show that particular property, print it back out and make sure you put that location in there so they know it's in the trust. But you can also just put the language that this is conveyed into my private allodial trust as well under record number, blah, 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 blah. That should be sufficient, but do both. No, you do the documents. They're in the file section of the group. You just got to download it. The trust documents, just 3 documents. The allodial land title for the property. So the allodial, the templates for the allodial land title for the property is also in the file section. Now, what I want to ultimately do is give everything a record number or some type of identifying number so you'll know which document they are. But they are named and titled the way they are titled. So you just got to go through and, just got to, when you go into the file section, just look. There should be on the first or second page because it was recent documents that were downloaded. The affidavit of cancellation and abolishment of all land patents, that is 120, record number 120. So if you look at MACN-R followed by 6 zeros and 120, you'll find that document and you just download it. So those documents, and if any other documents you want to add, so if you want to add the affidavit of international trust of the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World, add that. If you want to do the trust of the government, add that. If you want to do the affidavit of notice of existence of the Moorish American Consulate, add that. Termination of trustee, add that. But they have them all listed here. And if you just add a cover letter and outline all of those, add them. But when you go into the recorder of deeds, you don't have to add all of those. But the more you put on the record, the better. But you know, they try to charge you per page a lot of finance. So at the very least, make sure you record the title and the declaration together in one document. After they have not rebutted, because unrebutted affidavits stand as law. And after they unrebutted, nor dispute the affidavit within 3 days, create a default notice document stating that they have defaulted on the affidavit and create an allodial non-response with at least one witness autograph. Send both the default notice and the affidavit of non-response to all the persons listed in step 1. So after 3 days, you want to send them all a letter, which is 2 documents, or you can put it in one document, default notice and non-response. I don't think it needs to be 2 separate documents. It can be one little document. You don't have to add more pages and mail it out. Does it have to be returned receipt? I'm not sure. To validate it, the validator was there. It's going to get a little costly if you do that. Just sending it out should be sufficient. But if you want to give it that extra oomph, send it out at least certified, return, receipt, one or the other. And we're working on the tax per queue because if you send things out tax per queue, they try to obstruct. And we're working on that, so you don't want any delays in your process. All right? So that's the next thing. So that's one of the documents I got to send out tomorrow. The default notice and the non-response. And that's also attached to, all that documentation should be attached to her receipt to the original affidavit of allodial secured land property repossession written statement. All right. Now the process 2, prepare a statement for the newspaper that serves, puts everyone aforementioned on notice again, stating that they have 3 days to rebut the lawful notice and include at least one witness. So now newspapers, you can put it in a local newspaper. You could do that. Just realize Facebook is better than any local newspaper. You can just establish it and post it on a social platform, or get it recorded, that part of it later. And then they say have it run for 30 days. Once the 3 days has passed and the newspaper notice has not been rebutted nor disputed, then create a default notice document, an affidavit. Oh, what? We just talked about that. And at least one witness. Send those documents along with the following to the sheriff. So now again, you want to send the 30 days. So now something that said 3 days, and now it says run it for 30 days in the newspaper. Not sure about all that, but we'll see. Once the 3 days have passed and the newspaper notice has not been rebutted or disputed, then create a default notice document, an affidavit of non-response with at least one witness. Send those documents along with the following to the sheriff. Allodial indigenous writ of possession by command of the Moorish National Republic Federal Government and the Moorish American Consulate. Affidavit of credit, which is also recorded with a record number that makes our court sovereign in the rights, the writ of command, the judgment for being carried out by the sheriff. Send a certified copy of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, affidavit of UCC 1 financing statement lien to all those whom it applies, the parcel, persons claiming title, sheriff, mayor, policy enforcers, attorney general, etc. Create a cover letter letting the sheriff know that he has now been commanded to carry out the writ of possession due to the administrative process being complete, private and public, and that the judgment for granting the remedy has been given by only sovereign and de jure Article 3 court on the land. Or we have one of the viziers create a short judgment stating that okay, that's part of what they said to me. Now, once the sheriff has signed the writ of possession, send this document along with other documents, including the Aboriginal Indigenous writ of possession and the documents listed in step 2 to the persons, corporations listed in step 1 of part 1 of this process. That was a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was a lot. Now, I have reservations with the 30-day letting it run in the newspaper. I don't know why they say 30 days. I think it should be 3 days. I think it should be 3 days. I don't agree with the 30 days running and waiting for somebody to state a claim that they'll never state. And that's too long of a process, in my opinion. So because I know this is part of the process that some people do for nationality as well. But again, I would do 3 days. I would do 3 days running in a public forum. Realize once you uploaded your documents, once you've done the first step and you sent them to those locations, you PDF that whole entire packet and you put it on the public forum.
Good afternoon. The library will be closing in 25 minutes. Please bring all materials to the front desk for checkout. The public computers will automatically shut off in 15 minutes at 10 minutes of 5. If you have any printing to do, please do so within the next few minutes. Thank you.
So the first process allow 3 days for the rebuttal, because the reality is, I know that they do the 30 days for administrative process, but as a sovereign, you give as many days as you want. You don't have to be stringent on that piece of the process for 30 days. I don't agree on 30 days. I'll do 3, 3, and 3. But at the same time, when you've completed the process and when you've done the writ of the first document, which is the affidavit of allodial secured land property repossession written statement, when you've done that and you've served the individual claiming to, or the corporation claiming to own the property, you're automatically going to upload that to the file section of the Facebook group. Everybody can download that. That is sufficient for notification, because the reality is the individual that you're notifying, if their so-called records are right, should get there. And the validation that they've received it is sufficient enough. And you've given all of the other individuals like the sheriff, the recorders, the attorney general, the Department of State, the Secretary of State, the mayor, and the policy enforcers, you gave them all notification. You've done so much due diligence. That 30 days waiting, especially if it's your own property that you are conveying back. For me, I'm not waiting 30 days. I done already served it. They got it on the 8th. Was it the 8th or the 6th? I think they got it either on the 6th or the 8th of the month of May. I count my 3 days. I've already put it on a public forum for the whole world to see. And they've been downloading and passing it, I'm sure, all over the place on that Facebook file group. Because trust and believe, more than just the people in that group seeing that document.
Yeah.
They done download it and they probably put it up on all types of social sites. And that gets more viewership than any local paper out there.
Yeah.
But the only person that you really needed to give the time frame to was the individual who's claiming based on the records of the county. And you have validation through the return receipt that they got it. And then they got 3 days from when they received it. So we got the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th. I'm going to get the writ of execution signed on the 14th. I'm not going to keep pushing this out because I already put my claims in. I've already put all those affidavits and those rebuttals before I was unlawfully detained on the 25th of March. And I've been putting it on a public forum since the beginning of time, or not the beginning of time. I ain't going to say that far, but y'all know what the hell I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I've already done that. I'm gonna do the default notice now. And that's gonna go out on Monday. But they already defaulted. Because I've already liened them months ago. I've already sent them affidavits. I've done this before. And there were different so-called attorney offices trying to hypothecate. They all like, look, I ain't doing this fight. She doesn't leave me. Screw out of there. You know, all the people have tried. And they'll just go from one third party interloper to another third party interloper to another third party interloper. All violent. Huh? So who gonna have the first step done next week?
I'm gonna be ready.
You gonna be ready? You gonna at least have the property you want? You gonna at least find and locate the property first?
I know some of them.
Huh?
I know some of them.
Yeah, what she said?
Find and locate. She can find and locate some property for you, Miss Property real estate agent on here.
I'm in Virginia Beach.
You gonna find something? Oh, now you're trying to move farther. You trying to be traveling.
You gotta have some places to go.
Some vacation.
They got
Some
They
vacation.
got some nice places in Virginia Beach.
Well, just know y'all got 20 minutes to finish your paperwork. Don't talk it. Y'all got 2 copies, right?
Is her paperwork signed?
Is all your paperwork signed? Oh, you need
No,
the Vizir to do stuff. You can sign and seal.
Mhm.
And they'll be
I don't have
talking.
no, I don't have no seal.
They all over here in that bed right there.
I see you put.
Everybody coming to the hotels. That what's going on?
I gotta get a fine.
That's the best. That's the thing. Like, you know, having those Facebook Lives.
Empress Sharon,
Wow.
you think I should change up some of this verbiage on here, being it's outdated?
What verb? If it's outdated, why not? And have you filed it anywhere? You just
No,
printed it out and done it.
Like, I own property, and I figured, say, let me jump on this while I have the time. I should have been done it, but since you guys are already on some new stuff, I want to be up to date.
What you trying to think? What? I ain't reading it. What you doing? I ain't
You
reading
said,
it. Because if it's
the
the
deed,
same document.
the quit claim deed,
Uh-huh.
quiet claim deed, or
It's quick claim.
quit claim,
It's a quick.
so we're no longer using deed.
Well, it says quick claim deed. It's quitting the deed.
So I can eradicate that and remove it totally and just go with the allodial aboriginal paramount clear perfect title of conveyance. And
We coming up.
We're gonna have to lock up.
we're coming.
Just checking in. All right.
We have the gnosis of Helen the Moabitess Trust. And I was wondering, are we still
We ain't
leaving?
even doing that document,
Thanks for
just
them.
so you know.
That's what I mean. I want to be up to date. I want to be with everybody
We ain't doing
else.
that.
I want to be, you know, we don't be in the back of the bus no more.
You gotta do the process. You gotta download all the documents for the process because also attached to it is the allodial title.
Yeah, because this is what I have. I got off the Taj's.
Should be ready.
I had the same thing.
Mhm.
No.
Did the same thing.
Right?
So I'm gonna go on there. I'm gonna rearrange some things. A lot of the verbiage I like on
Finish your
this.
darn your document. Is that done?
This is done.
Because they don't play. They be trying to be out at 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
You put your thumbprint?
Did I give you my phone?
Put it. Why y'all always do sideways? No, this way, right here.
You wanted it clear because I didn't know if you were using it to put it
Gotta
in a
lift it.
spot.
It's over here.
Yeah.
Let me grab this thing.
We just had.
Thank you.
20222.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, me do that.
Do mine down the bottom, my second one anyway. That look like it's overlapping.
No, you didn't.
Yeah. Over
Really?
the, the name.
Really? Really? Do it right here. Can you?
Here.
Get some more ink.
Don't be scared.
What Would you do it straight?
Oh, you want it straight up and
Yes.
Up
down?
and down.
That was so hard. And it's all faded. Do it again.
Here.
Don't fight
Give you
him. Oh
another
my
one.
goodness. Richard. What's your appellation?
Richard Israel.
Oh, see, that was perfect. You see
Bay.
that? Now, where's your photo?
Singletary Bay.
Singletary Bay.
Yes.
Look, 444. Always 444. Oh, goodness. We ain't got no more paper clips?
Here, take mine.
Ah. Oh, look at this photo.
Can you use it?
No,
I know.
because it's
white in
on
the
paper,
back.
yeah. Well, if it was, it would be, I'll take it, maybe, I don't know. It might, yeah, because you look like that look like a mugshot. I'd rather have the
It
turban.
was a mugshot.
I'd rather have the turban.
Slide it
Did
up
you
there.
send the Lodio through PayPal?
Should've.
No,
How you sending it?
I was going to just
Now.
try to do it. I was setting up another PayPal because I can't access my PayPal
What's
account.
up with y'all and your
I haven't
PayPal?
used it. And so long I forgot the,
Password, you
Yeah.
probably forgot password, they'll send you a reset.
and it's trying to, yeah, but it's
You don't
trying
have
to
to email?
connect to my old phone. And I got to use my old credit card. So it's saying you can verify the old credit card and it keep coming up that.
What about Cash App? You got the notes?
I have the notes.
Oh, I can just do the notes.
Okay.
Because I am doing a lot of snacking.
What's today's date? What is today's date? I'm sorry.
What do you need, sis?
I don't even know what today's date is.
Is it 35?
Is today 12? Yes, it's 35.
All right, so here, take this.
Yeah, the day of 12.
Throw that in there.
Right?
As well.
Sharon, can I get that red?
There you go. You got 2 copies because I keep one original and I give you a MAC number and I'll mail you your MAC document with your Elodio identification card. Or if you come next class, I'll just hold it until then.
When is it?
Every Sunday.
Oh, every Sunday.
Unless we can.
Well, since I don't have the mantra, I'll just continue.
What?
Since I don't have the mantra, I continue memorizing the 25 articles.
Mantra?
1787.
The library will be closing in 15 minutes. The public computers will shut down in 5 minutes. Please begin to gather your personal belongings and come to the front desk with any materials you'd like to check out.
I do.
You going my way, man?
Yeah.
I appreciate it, man.
I am. Well, you can get on the Facebook. The mantra's on the Facebook.
Yeah.
I would take the bus back.
No, I'll take you down 50 seconds.
Till time I'll be able to eat. I've been fasting.
So you got your MAC and everything? You got your record number and everything, right?
Yep.
I mailed it to you or something
No, you gave it to me when I was
on the
here
phone?
last time.
Okay, so I'll link your actual document up with your ID and have it because you should have gotten the actual MAC document in the mail.
No.
Can you get it yet? I'll email it to you.
The next thing I'm gonna need is travel papers
Travel
and
papers?
the plates they make.
The
You know what?
nationality identification.
Yeah, you know what?
things.
Yeah. For what you mean, the travel ID?
Yeah.
You talking about the well, they do have
Well,
that.
they have an
Abasi
ID.
does that.
Yeah.
If you want the travel ID, I guess because y'all want it, we gotta process it.
You know, I'm
What
just
are you doing?
trying to
Shut
make
you
sure I
down.
feed.
Yeah, might as well. I don't know. Push end the stream.
And I
So
can show other people what it looked like, because everybody's
Yeah.
like, well, what it look
As
like?
long-
Like, man, I don't know. Use it.
So